Oh, brother, what is this video about anyways? I got a sprinkler line down here that I need to fix. And I thought I would show you this video, and that's what it's going to be about. It's going to be about using this little thing right here. This is a drip irrigation pipe. You see this pipe right here? This pipe goes along here. I'm redoing all this, took out all the juniper bushes and stuff and dug some stuff out. This thing snakes around like that. See it? Here it is. Here it is right here. And let's see where it goes. It zips up around there and goes down along that way. And when I was digging stuff out the other day with my hammer, I hit this pipe by mistake, by accident. This right here, right under here. I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but I took a nice little cut out of it. And for the last few days, it's been shooting water out of it. And you can see where the water's kind of trickled down this way. And has done this. And so I thought, hey, I need to fix this. So that's what this video is going to be about. If you want to watch it, stick around. Now, I only have a few minutes left on my video camera, but I think I have enough to show you the ins and outs of what I'm going to do here. Now, this drip irrigation pipe, see this drip irrigation pipe? I look around here, it's all over the place. See, this really should be covered up. It's not good to leave exposed lines like this. Like that. There's some more over there. See, I should dig that up and dig it down and then cover it up. And I see there's some over there too. So I've got a few things I've got to work on, but most main drip irrigation pipes you're going to see are going to be like that. And the funny thing is, this is 3/4 inch line, and I was just doing lots of videos of some drip irrigation repairs that I did at my mother's house, and hers is 5/8. And then I went to the store, the Home Depot, the other day to get a repair coupler, and I used a 5/8 coupler for my mother's, and it looked way different than this. It was a coupler, a coupling type thing, slightly different than this one, and they didn't have the very same. And so I looked around, sure enough they had this one here. So you always have to check what size pipe. I know this is 3/4 because I've used one of these before in the front yard, and this pipe looked bigger, but you always want to measure your pipe because not all of them are the same. This side, this is 3/4, then they have 5/8, then they also have 1/2 inch. When I was at Home Depot, I was gonna look at their main drip irrigation pipes, and they had 3/4 and 1/2 inch. They didn't even have 5/8 coupling nipples or 5/8 pipe or anything like that. That was funny. I found all that stuff over at Lowe's. So hey, if you can't find something at Home Depot, you go to Lowe's. If you can't find it at Lowe's, you go to Home Depot. That's just kind of how it is. Okay, so I'm going to use that. And how am I going to go about this? You see this tree right here? This tree a few years ago got so much snow on it that it tipped over. It tipped over. This whole thing fell down at an angle, and I thought I'll just lift it up. I ended up having to get a floor jack, and I jacked it up against the trees and put 2x4, a 2x4, another 2x4, piece of plywood, and I used a jack sideways, and I finally got it up there. Then I put these big rocks in there, and I tilted it up, and son of a gun, it's been like this for the last 2 years. It's still alive and kicking. That's why I want to save it. But see all these? See all these? These are their roots coming out this way. And look how those roots have just kind of overgrown where this drip irrigation pipe is. Okay, so my project is twofold. If it wasn't if it wasn't leaking, I'd have to look at this and think, what am I going to do? Because what I want to do is I want to dig the dirt down, and I want to train these these roots to go down instead of coming out on the top surface. See how low this one is? Well, how high it is to the ground. If I were to jerk on that, I could pull it up. In fact, here's the end of it. See, look. See there? If I pull that up, it's just gonna go. So I need to dig the dirt down there and push that down. I'm not quite sure. We don't know what we're gonna plant in here just yet or anything like that, but I know first and foremost, I need to get these pushed down. It's getting close to winter. I want to get this train down. I got the sprinkler pipe I got to fix, and also get the roots down. So how am I going to do that? Well, what would you do? Think about it here for a minute, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Oh, that's funny. They said it was a 10% chance of sprinkles today, and it's just starting to sprinkle. I can see the little drips here, but I'm underneath the tree, and I'm hoping to get this done before I get too wet. Okay, have you figured out, have you thought about what you should do to get this fixed? See where it's cut was right there. I would have to cut this back a little bit, both sides, and pull this back far enough, shimmy through underneath there and redo it. I could do that, but I want to get those roots reconfigured. Once the roots get bigger, they're just going to keep pushing on here, and it could smash this pipe down, or it could break the pipe or something like that. So I kind of want to get that pipe out of there, wouldn't you think? And because it's not very far underneath the ground, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it off fairly close to where the cut is already. Okay, I can snip it off there. Then I'm going to pull this portion out. I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to reroute this. I'm going to reroute it so it goes down lower than where the tree is. So it just takes that over to there. Do you see what I mean? That way I can get out of the way of these roots. I don't know why they put it so close. Reason why probably is because when they did all the sprinklers here and all that kind of stuff and the landscaping, this tree was probably in a 5-gallon pot, and they just potted the tree, and they had this through there, and they thought it was going to be low enough, and see all the roots just kind of taken over. So I see where the drip, this is a 1/4-inch tubing, just goes to there. See, here's 2 more right here coming out of the pipe, and they just go up and they just zip up to there. And those are ones that they were using to water that tree. Here's another one off of that same pipe, and it's just a little one. Went over to here. There used to be another plant right there. Okay, I look over to here. Here's another 1/4-inch tubing that came off of this 3/4-inch line, and it's just right here. Okay, so when I take this out, I'm not even going to worry about these. These are still going to stay. All these drippers are still going to stay on there. Then when I reroute the line, I'll figure out if I have to cut one out or something like that. And then I'm okay for the winter. I can then dig all the roots down and reconfigure them, push them all down deep, and then I can put this tube on top of the roots instead of underneath the roots, right? And then wherever the drippers are, eventually I'll have to re-extend the drippers to wherever, but like I say, right now I don't know exactly how we're going to reconfigure this. And right now I've got this exposed. Here's a little dripper that went to one juniper. Here's another one that went to a juniper. There's one. I was real careful to try not to cover those up. See, here's another one here. Here's another one over here, and there's a couple over there. And I know where the main trunk line goes right down the middle here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so eventually, once you figure out where everything's going to be planted, then if these drippers aren't in the right place, I'll have to cap them off, relocate them, do whatever. So I don't really care about what this looks like when I get done, other than wanting to get this cut out of there and fixed. Okay, so that's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to dig this dirt out a little bit further and get ready to snip that off so I can pull this up. And then see how I'm going to reroute it. And before I reroute it, I'll just push it out of the way, and then I'll work on these roots. You know, wherever the main roots are, I'll dig the dirt underneath the roots, and then get the roots down there deep enough and rechanneled. Because the other thing on these surface roots that aren't going down, they come over to this little walk area. See how the walk area goes all the way around here? Whoever did it, they decided that's what they wanted to do. Well, any of the roots on these different trees, this one, some of the roots go underneath here. This thing goes down, the roots go underneath there. This thing, the roots come under. And I know all this because I fixed this whole thing. I took up every single one of these stones by hand and redid them, re-separated them, grouted, all that kind of stuff. And I was hitting all kinds of roots from this tree, from the different things around the edges coming under. So that's another reason why I want to train these to go down, hoping that it doesn't break this stuff up anymore. Okay, all right, I'm gonna get working on it, and I'll show you bits and pieces along the way. Stay tuned. Hey, and when it comes to stuff like this, yeah, I'm not fancy or anything. I'm using my hammer, my little putty knife, a stiff one, rounded edges, and I've got just a little shovel. That's it, and my knee pad, of course. And I'll get this dug out in a jiff. Okay, I've got it dug all the way. I found another dripper over there, dug that out. Got this all kind of ready, and this pipe has been underneath the ground for 24 years or so. And so I was going to try to cut it with my 10 snips, and sometimes you can do that if this is more pliable, but this is hard as rock. So I've just got a little hacksaw blade. That's all I got. Okay, and that's all you need to cut that. So, and they have other things you can use to cut it with. You know, that's just what I'm using. And I figure I might as well cut it fairly close to where it was before, where it was leaking. I'm going to cut it short later, because I could have snipped it off here, wherever, had I not been able to get it next to this root. And this is drip irrigation. It's the drippers are off right now. It's still on a timer. It's going to go back on tonight or tomorrow morning. And I could have turned that off. And after I get done with the entire repair, I can turn it on manually to check it. It's bending my blade. So I got to lift up on the pipe so I don't snag it. Like that. Come on. Good grief. I use this hacksaw for quite a few different things. And I think it's getting dull. Okay, there. I think it's getting dull. But now I'm just going to rearrange things. Let's see if I can't get you over here to where you can see this whole thing, what I'm going to do. I'm not doing anything hard. You can do this. You don't have to pay your landscaper to do it or anything. You can be the landscaper. You can decide what to do. Okay? All right. And like I say, these drippers may or may not be in the right location for later on down the road. I'm just not going to worry about it right now, am I? just not going to worry about it just yet. This one could be slightly tricky. I was hoping not to have to cut any of these. Okay, how can I do this? Dabbity nabbit, look at that. I snapped this one off. Shoot. That's the last thing you want to do too. But fortunately for me, it's right here, so it's only this far. That means this last section I'm going to have to cut off. I'm going to have to cut off because I won't be able to get that out, and that little piece of the coupling that snapped off is still in that pipe. See what I mean? So that's because these pipes are really brittle too, and so in a sense, these other two, I don't really care if they snap off or not. I could pull them out. Maybe I'll pull them out with a pair of pliers. That's what I'll do. And then I can reuse those later. Okay? Just doing it to save those couplings, because I have to cut it at least that far, so I have to do away with these, and I'll have to repoke them later. See, I was able to save that one, that little nib. You see how that part fits in the pipe? See how it looks like that? That snapped off that other one, so I have to pull these off. Here's the one that snapped off. I should have been more careful. See? It snapped off, and that's going to be caught back inside of there. I would have had to have cut something off anyways, somewhere, because this pipe is going to be way too long now, right? And so it would have either been pull these off, pull those off, or pull this one off, you see? Because once I get this ready to go back, let's see if I can get this out of here. This should be okay. I just didn't want to cut off any more roots, you know. You'll still be able to work with this. This is still pliable enough. You see, before I work on this, I'm going to dig all of this stuff out, pick up sticks galore, and cut channels, dig channels, find out where the roots are. There's big roots just below the ground and stuff before I put this down, okay? But see, when I reconnect it, I'm going to reconnect it in here somewhere. And so here's the piece that snapped off was right in here somewhere. Yeah, right there. See? And so when I cut that off, I'm going to have to cut it way back, right? But just to show you, let me cut that off. I'm going to cut it off right beyond, so I can kind of show you that little bit right there. I'm using the sharper part of the blade. You'll get it. I just wanted to show you. this bit. You see that little bit in there? It's still in there. So if you follow this along, had I have kept that down there and thought, oh, I'll just take my little special tool and poke a hole in there, clean that out, and then put another coupling in there and reuse that same piece, let's say, that snapped off. This little thing right here, I would push that right into the pipe, right? And if I push that into the pipe, you're gonna have this little thing right there floating around inside your line, and now it's gonna go float down. It's gonna find a place. Maybe it goes through one of the 1/4-inch tubes and blocks up one of the bubblers. Which bubbler is it going to be that it blocks up? Maybe none. Maybe I could get lucky and this could go all the way through until it hits the end of this main sprinkler line and get caught at the very end. But chances are I wouldn't get that lucky, would I? It would get blocked up in one of these. And so that's why this little section of pipe I'd have to cut out. And so see, later on, and see, this stuff gets stiff. Mind you, this is 20 years old. It gets so stiff that if you try to turn it too much one way or another, you could put a kink in it. Once you put a kink in it, you're not going to get the full pressure flow through the pipe, right? And so, but you can still move this around. It's flexible enough. All right. Okay, so later, after I dig this, I'll have to make the determination of where this is going to go. And once I push this down here, I'll probably look at this, cut this one straight, and then cut this one back, and then have the coupling right in here. And see, it's going to be about right in like that. See, and once I dig all this dirt down and get the roots down, then I'll be able to put the sprinkler pipe on top of that, and it'll still be underneath the ground a little bit. Okay, so I need to make sure I get the roots down deep enough, and I want them to get deep because I don't want the roots to keep growing sideways and then loosening up and getting underneath the walkway and start cracking that and lifting that up and all that. Do you see what I mean? And so I'll need to make sure over in there I dig those roots down, dig the dirt down deep enough to allow the roots to keep flowing in there. Because I mean, my word, look at all the roots to this tree. This is just this section of the tree, see? And when it tipped over before, it tipped that way, and this was all exposed. And so this side, the roots are growing back, and I'm hoping that they're going to go down. But all the sides and that side is still what's holding up this tree. I kind of like that tree. I want to save it, do the best I can. Okay, so because I'm doing all this landscaping work and stuff, hey, I'm going to spend the next hour or more digging this dirt deeper, finding the roots. First and foremost, I'll find the majority of the roots, and before I start covering them, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okie dokie. And newsflash, this is 3/4 inch, and like I said, you can get this pipe 3/4 inch, 5/8, or 1/2 inch. And so see, this coupling is actually going to fit on the inside of this pipe. See? And I'll have to push it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and push it in there to about there, and then put the other one on. Okay? And I don't know why they have this thing here, other than you can use that to maybe twist. Oh, I see. Oh, look at that. This has threads on it. So on one way you can take it and screw it right in. I didn't know that. Because the first time I did this, I just wiggled it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Once you get one side on, you're not going to be able to screw the other side on. You just take it and then just walk it back and forth and shove it in. Maybe put a little bit of water, spit on the other pipe, to get it to slip in there. You see what I'm saying? And that's how you end up using these. This one just happens to be for the 3/4 inch pipe. For 5/8 and 1/2 inch, you don't have them like this. It's not a coupling like this. It's an actual coupling that fits on the outside, and then it's got a little goodie that dips in on both ends, and it fits on the outside of the pipe. Why do they don't make one of those for 3/4 inch when they make them for 1/2 inch and 5/8 is beyond me. This one, for 3/4 inch, you use this, okay? And they do have them, but don't just make the assumption that you have 3/4 inch, because hey, this house is 24 years old. This says 3/4 inch. My mother's house is 24 years old, and the landscape guy decided to use 5/8. And then other people use 1/2 inch. Why would you want to use 1/2 inch? I do not know, because the smaller the pipe, the less water pressure you're going to have. And see, this 3/4 inch pipe goes for the side of the house, the back of the house, and all the way over that way. And then there's another 3/4 inch line for all the drip on the front side of both sides of the house and the front. Okay, and that's it. Now, if I was using 1/2 inch, I would probably split the backyard in half and do 1/2 inch on one side, 1/2 inch on another side, which means you've got another sprinkler system. Two in the back, maybe one in the front or two in the front. There's 4 for the bubblers and the drip irrigation system instead of 2 for this house, because they use 3/4 inch. Does that make sense? Okay, so hey, like I say, it's not rocket science how they run the drip irrigation. Okay, and you can do it. I know you can do it. I've got all kinds of drip irrigation videos on my channel. Go to my main YouTube channel page, click on playlists, and scroll down to drip irrigation or landscape repairs or landscape issues or something like that, and you'll find all the drip irrigation that I've ever done will be in those areas. Okay, and I'll put this one in there too. All right, and so now, see, I can still use these later on. These two I'll use later on. This one bubbler here, I could still use it if the bubbler still works. I just pull that end off, and then I can put a different coupling on there, or I can choose not to use those at all if I don't want. You know, and after I get this in, it's getting winter. This thing doesn't have any other water, so once I hook this up, could I decide to maybe put one of those or put 2 of those together, let's say, and run it longer over to there, so that this one at least has water on it for one. And if I didn't have any couplings, I could take this end off, and that's one coupling. Okay. Oh no, look, that's a cap. Somebody put a cap on there, and the piece that it pulled off was the coupling. So see, I could, if I pull that off carefully, there's a coupling. Okay, so, and this other one has the dripper on there, so that end is a coupling. So I just take the one coupling, poke it back in, take the cap off, and hook that coupling on there, and then I can extend these 2 to make a longer one from way over there, so at least this plant gets one. I don't even have to go to the store get anything. And usually what I do is I've got a bag of goodies in the garage for drip irrigation. I got my little tool that punches the hole. I got little end caps. I've got the bubblers. I've got couplings. I've got 1/4 inch tubing and all that kind of stuff. Every time I work on the sprinklers, I get other parts, and I can fix pretty much whatever I need to do with the parts that I have without going to the store. This time I had to go to the store to get one of these, and I was smart this time. I went ahead and bought 2 of these. I only need one, and I'll leave one in my bag for later on down the road. You never know if I'm going to need it, especially if I'm going to be redoing everything here. Lots of these plants we're going to pull out still. I still don't have the game plan exactly. One step at a time. When you're doing things on your own, you do one step at a time. This had all kinds of junipers here. I jerked those out and had some other plants there. I pulled those out. I just used my hammer. I used my hammer And I used my cutters, and I had some other big cutters. That's how I pulled out all this stuff. You can't use picks. Every little bit I'm hitting these rocks. All these rocks were down underneath around everything, and every time I would dig out, I would hit a root or I'd hit a rock. So no sense getting a pick or anything like that, because I kept hitting stuff. I just slow and go. I've used my hammer, I use that, I use my putty knife, I use some other stuff. You just go one at a time, one thing at a time. So see, I'm only concentrating on this area now, right? So I'm going to dig the dirt out, get the dirt pushed back over. I got a little shovel in the garage too. I'll get the little shovel out too and stuff, and I'll get the roots exposed, probably all the way over to here even. I'll get all that exposed and figure out exactly what I want to do next. Of course, it started raining and I stayed out here. It was sprinkling and stuff. Now it's all muddy. But see what I've got to do. Hey, this is 24 years of stuff. You've got to dig it down deep enough, and then I'm going to do like pickup sticks, and I'm going to take the stuff that's up high, and rearrange it and poke it down low. Take these, poke them down, poke them down, poke them down, and get it down into this deep area. And any long ones that go way out towards the sidewalk, I'm going to have to chop them off and then figure out what to do to get them down lower. And most of them are just about this long, okay? And then I'll be able to kind of stand on this and kind of get them down, and maybe some of the taller ones, I don't know if I'm going to break any. No, I'm not going to break any off. I'll just cover them, and then this will be down low enough I can throw this stuff on, take some of the big rocks and put on top of here if I want. All this stuff came out from here, and then put the dirt back in before I do my pipes, and the pipes will set on top of there. And I showed you how I was going to do it with this. Okay, my battery's running out, and I may not. Oh, I only have 1 minute left on my SIM card, but you get the idea, and I hope you learn something from this video. We're saving this tree, we're fixing the sprinkler pipes, and we're using this little thing right here for the 3/4 inch, and it works out really good, and we'll get it all fixed. Hey, if I can do it, you can do it.